During my time of visiting theme parks, I have had the opportunity to experience over 80 different roller coasters, covering many different parks, countries and continents. So in this video, I'm going to go over my top 50 roller coasters that I have ridden. I'm going to start by whizzing through the first ones because they are my least favourite, and then slowly working up and talking more and more about my favourite roller coasters. At number 50 we have the Runaway Mine Train at Alton Towers, and this is a nice little powered family coaster at Alton Towers. At number 49 is the Big Dipper. This is the oldest roller coaster on this list, and it's quite rough, but it is still quite fun. At number 48 we have Avalanche, which is quite a good coaster, but it is let down slightly by its operations and its seating design. At 47 we have Nick Streak, or Nickelodeon Streak, and this is a good little family wooden roller coaster at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. At number 46 we have the Antelope at Gulliver's Warrington. It's quite small, but a very fun wooden roller coaster. At number 45 we have Flight of the Hippogriff. This is a small but decently themed kids coaster at Universal Island of Adventure. At number 44 we have The Walking Dead. This is a really well themed indoor roller coaster at Thorpe Park. At number 43 we have Minifigure Speedway. This is a brand new addition to Legoland Windsor with two roller coasters that race each other. Quite forceful, very good. At number 42 we have Spinball Wizard at Alton Towers, the Mauer spinning coaster. At 41 we have Colossus, which has a really good layout, however it is quite rough, which is why it's at this position. At number 40 we have Space Mountain at Walt Disney World. Now this is quite good and it's quite well themed and it's very nostalgic for a lot of people, however for me it didn't really do that much in terms of thrill. At number 49 we have Mumbo Jumbo and S&S El Loco at Flamingo Land, which has some really great hang time. At number 38 we have the Grand National, which is the two wooden roller coasters that race each other at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. At number 37 we have Soar the Ride, which has some really well themed indoor sections, however a really rough outdoor section. At number 46 we have Cobra's Curse, which is a very unique spinning roller coaster at Busch Gardens, Tampa Bay, which has some unique elements including a vertical lift hill. At number 35 we have 13, which was the very first Intamin multi-dimension coaster. Now this includes some surprise elements and a surprisingly fun layout. At number 34 we have Revolution, which is the classic Blackpool Pleasure Beach one loop wonder. At 33 we have Galactica, which is a very fun ride experience and slightly unique in terms of the flying, however it does have some quite bad operations and is looking not in the best state anymore. At number 31 we have Kraken, which is an extremely intense B&M flawless coaster at SeaWorld Orlando. At number 30 we have Shockwave at Drayton Manor. Now this is the original version before it was renamed to the Wave, which offered a really unique experience of standing up on a roller coaster. At number 29 we have Big Thunder Mountain, which is a very well themed and very long ride, however for me doesn't do that much. At number 28 we have Cumber, which is the B&M sit down coaster which is really intense and has some great elements. At number 27 we have Wickerman, the GCI wooden coaster at Alton Towers, which has some great speed and great theming, however sometimes the operations can let it down a bit. At number 26 we have the Incredible Hulk coaster, which is very intense and has a very good onboard soundtrack. At number 25 we have Nemesis Inferno. It's just the inferior Nemesis, isn't it? At number 24 we have Escape from Gringotts, which is another multi-dimension coaster, however in my opinion it relies a little bit too much on 3D screens. At number 23 we have Revenge of the Mummy at Universal Studios Orlando, which is another indoor roller coaster with lots of different elements, however this one relies a lot more on practical effects and sets, which make it in my opinion a bit better. At number 22 we have Hollywood Rip Ride Rockit, and although this is getting demolished, it was a very unique experience getting to listen to music on a roller coaster. Speaking of music on a roller coaster, at number 21 we have Aerosmith's Rock'n Roller Coaster, which again has some really great launches and some really great elements and is very fun having the onboard soundtrack. At number 20 we have Expedition Everest, which has great theming and some great layout. At number 19 we have Tron Light Cycle Run, which has some great launches and speed and a really unique experience lying down in that motorbike position. At number 18 we have The Swarm, the very first B&M wing coaster that opened in 2012, which has some really great theming and a really great ride experience. At number 17 we have the Smiler. Now this holds the record for the most amount of inversions of any roller coaster in the world at Alton Towers, however for me it is quite rough. At number 16, next to the Smiler, we have Oblivion. Now this is the very first B&M dive roller coaster, and although it does only have one drop and not really any other elements, for me it is very intense and a really good experience going into the hole. At number 15 we have Montu at Busch Gardens Tampa Bay, and this is a B&M invert with a really good layout and loads of unique elements that you don't always see on B&M inverts. At number 14 we have another B&M dive coaster, this one SheiKra, which has two much bigger drops than Oblivion's and is very intense due to how tall it is. At number 13 we have Manta, and this is a flying coaster similar to Galactica, however this one is a lot taller and a lot more intense, especially on things like that pretzel loop. At number 12 we have Cheetah Hunt, which is an Intamin launch coaster at Busch Gardens Tampa Bay. Now for me this has some really great launches some great airtime and really good interactions with the landscape. And finally, at number 11, we have the big one. Now for me, this is the second tallest roller coaster in the UK. It's quite rough, but it has a really good first drop and some really good airtime throughout. Okay, we've finally made it into my top 10 coasters that I have ever ridden. So my 10th favourite roller coaster that I have ever been on is Stealth at Thorpe Park. Now this currently holds the record for the fastest accelerating roller coaster in the world, sort of. 0 to 80 miles an hour in 1.8 seconds up a 205-foot top hat. Really great ride. Number 9 we have Icon at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. Now this is a great Mack Rides family launch coaster with some really great elements including the barrel roll and the junior element. It's also got some great floater airtime and a really nice long ride. At number 8 we have Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind at Epcot at Walt Disney World. Now in my opinion this is the best indoor roller coaster on the planet, including the launches, the spinning, the queue and the pre-shows all bring together to tell a great story. And the music ties it together, especially with the randomness of not knowing what song you'll get. At number 7 we have Mako. Now this B&M hypercoaster is at SeaWorld Orlando and it has some really great floater airtime and quite a few good drops, including twisting around the lake and some very comfortable clamshell restraints. At number 6 we have Pipeline the surf coaster, also at SeaWorld Orlando. This is a prototype from B&M where you stand up but you also bounce up and down out of your seat. It provides a great experience and you get some great airtime where you physically come off the floor. It also is a very good launch. Okay, on to the top 5. My 5th favourite roller coaster that I've ever been on is Nemesis Reborn at Alton Towers. For me, this is a very iconic ride. Watching the entire thing get retracked and constructed, it'll always be iconic because of that, but also it's a very forceful experience. Got some great elements in the ride, including that corkscrew, helix, the loop, everything is really, really good. It's also really well themed, especially after the retrack, and ties really well into the Phalanx story. Staying in the UK, my 4th favourite roller coaster that I've ever been on is Hyperia. Now this at Thorpe Park is the Mack Rides hypercoaster that opened last year, has an amazing 236-foot drop, twisting, and some of the great best airtime and hang time in the UK, really floaty going around the element, and it's stylised nicely, it's got great chains and great restraints, which leads it to be an overall fantastic ride. At number 3 we have Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure, the most mouthful of a roller coaster name ever, but that's at Universal Islands of Adventure and offers a really, really good experience, with having loads of launches. I think it's got like 7 launches or something, with dark ride scenes, with the switch tracks and the drop tracks and everything that make it a really good ride, along with the queue that's really well themed. Also, the option to be able to sit on either the motorbike or the sidecar gives it different opportunities to be able to ride it and gives it different experiences. Okay, the second best roller coaster that I have ever been on is Jurassic World Velocicoaster. So we're in the same park as Hagrid's, and it has 2 great powerful LSM launches. It has some really snappy elements round the raptor paddock. It has an amazing top hat, stall, and the Mosasaurus roll over the river, which all 3 of them create amazing elements. It takes it with such good speed. It's really well themed from the queue to the surrounding area and the ride area, which leads it to be my second favourite roller coaster that I have ever done. So, which is the best roller coaster that I have been on? And for me, that is Iron-Gwazi. Now this Rocky Mountain Construction, or RMC, hybrid coaster is absolutely phenomenal. It has a 91 degrees beyond vertical drop from 206 foot, which gives you loads of hang time, especially considering that the RMC restraints, especially for this, are literally just a like hot rod lap bar. It gives you loads of freedom. It maintains speed of 76 miles an hour, which gives it great speed while it goes through its twists, turns and inversions, and the entire thing is very, very smooth, which gives it a great but intense experience. You can click here to subscribe to the channel, and YouTube thinks you'll like this video next. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments, see if you disagree, see if you agree, let me know your favourite rides, and we'll see you later. Goodbye.